And we're live with the Superboy The Legacy Livestream episode 2, which we will be simulcasting with Apple iTunes and Spotify and Overcast. This will be available in podcasting form tomorrow. Well, tonight, I'm your host, Sam Rizzo. Welcome back. And we have quite the show tonight. Please help me welcome my guest to tonight's panel. From his very successful podcast network titled Multiverse Musings, and my longtime co-host here at the Superboy The Legacy, please welcome Adam Bassiano to the live stream. Adam, how are you?
Sam, how's it going?
It's going, man. It's going.
Awesome. It's good to be here. It's been a day of Superman conversation for me, so let's add some more to it.
Yeah, you've been busy with Superman and Lois, and they've been hitting it out of the park. They're 3 for 3 tonight.
They are
3 for 3 so far.
They're doing well, and we just recorded our third weekly episode review on the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network YouTube page. The actual show is Multiverse Musings, the vidcast. Each week for Superman and Lois, we have it's me, Stephen Marshall, and we have Mario Francisco Robles from the Fanboy Podcast come on and do reviews with us. And so, if you like video like this, except it's not live, but the episode is up. The episode is up on our YouTube channel. And if you don't want to see my ugly mug, then you can listen to the audio version, which is up on Podbean. That one is the Tales from the DC Multiverse, the podcast, and it's Krypton's Legacy is the Superman offshoot. So that's what I was doing earlier today, and now here to talk some Superboy with you and another guest that we have.
Yes. So let me introduce from JoeBlow.com. He is a writer and has been working on this great series over on JoeBlow.com, the YouTube channel, and it's called Gone But Not Forgotten. And now he's going to be a co-host here at Superboy The Legacy with the vidcast and podcast going forward. Let me introduce David Arroyo. David, welcome to the live stream.
Guys, how are you?
Hey,
doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited. This is awesome. Get to talk to Superboy.
So,
Cool.
David, give us a little bit about your background with the Superboy TV show. It's so funny because about 2 years ago, I was out in Nevada, and you started a series for Joe Blow, and the first episode was Superboy. So you want to talk a little bit about why did you choose that as your first episode for Gone But Not Forgotten?
Actually, it's really funny. The actual entire show, Gone But Not Forgotten, was just my chance to talk about Superboy. Because nobody knew about it. It was a very lonely life as a child watching the show because nobody knew anything about it. Nobody. I would talk about it and people would think I was crazy that a show like that would exist. I remember one time at a convention, local convention back home, I was selling bootlegs of the Superboy TV show because you couldn't find it anywhere. It was never on DVD. And I remember playing like a demo and people just like crowding my table going, "What is this? I've never seen this before." So nobody talked about it. Nobody knew about it. And whenever I met somebody who actually did know, it was like meeting a unicorn, because I'd never met anybody. So when Joe Blow was asking for ideas for shows to fill the network, immediately I thought, well, I have to find a way to talk about Superboy. And the only way to do that is talk about TV shows that were canceled too soon. And originally the idea was for obscure TV shows. But Joe Flo was really kind enough to let me do Superboy as our first episode even though it was not technically a nostalgia a hit show, because nobody knew about it. So the driving force behind that show was making a Superboy episode. You know, yeah.
But you've gone on and had some really good ones on there, like Quantum Leap. You did Sliders. You just did Sequest.
Yeah.
Which is another Stacy Haiduk driven series. I mean, who doesn't love Stacy?
Yeah. I have a lot of recurrent jokes about any show that Stacy's on. I always specifically make a point of pointing out her performance, since I've been in love with her since I was like 13 years old. So yeah. I only wish I could do more shows about that Stacy started in, like Kindred the Embraced is the show that I used to love that she was in. Carried that show. The only reason that show was any good because of Stacy. But sadly, the only other show that she's been on, to my knowledge, has been very nostalgic is Sequest. So when I got to get to Sequest, I jumped in the chance. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of episodes, a lot of shows. Purposely, I've been choosing shows that they're not exactly obscure, but they're have like a cult-like status.
Right. Right. Yeah, like Quantum Leap. I watched your Quantum Leap one. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
The Sliders. We all want Sliders to come back. That's a show that's ripe to come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's.
It's just a matter of time
ahead.
before they do. It's just a matter of time before they do Quantum Leap. Peacock needs stuff to put on there, right? So
they've been Scott Bakula was just recently in the news talking about it. It's every few months they go to him and
it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we may all be 90 by the time it happens. But,
yeah. Luckily, Quantum Leap is a show that tends to come back into the public eye every so often. It had a bit of a deal a couple of years back, maybe like 2 years back. A fellow YouTube creator named Allison Pregler. She does a show called Movie Nights, and she's a huge Quantum Leap fan. Like, I've never seen a Quantum Leap fan this devoted to Quantum Leap, where she buys stins about Quantum Leap. She bought a portrait of Dean Stockwell that was made with lint. Somebody. The story is basically she bought these negatives off the show on eBay because she has had hands on everything, and she came across an alternate ending that nobody knew about, and that hit the news and became a big blowout and stuff like that. So, Quantum Leap is one of those shows that tends to come back. It's a great show. I love the show. I've watched it since I was like, I don't know, 14. Thank God for USA Network not having any programming at that time.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of good talk about it. It's a very dear show to my heart.
And also, while we're talking about nostalgic shows, before we go on to Superboy, I know it's been redone, but I want a good. I stress the word good, folks. Knight Rider. Good. Keyword good. Please, somebody do it.
I know they tried so many times. That was just a show I've been researching, and I can't believe how many times they've tried to bring this show back.
Yeah, but they've never done it properly.
They've never done TV movies, series. Ugh, So.
And now they're talking about a movie. I mean, and hey, listen, if Fast and the Furious can go. What are we on? 12th now? The 12th Fast and the Furious? I don't even know the number.
40th? I think.
Yeah,
40.
whatever it is. If that franchise can live that long, here's the solution: hire The Rock, and it'll make $1 billion.
True.
Problem solved.
He was David Hasselhoff clone in the Baywatch movie. Why not just do Knight Rider?
Exactly. There you go. Yeah.
So, what do you like, Adam? Dave, what do you guys think of Superman and Lois so far? Like, I think 3 for 3 so far, episode-wise. It's just been amazing.
It's weird. Like, I do like the show, but I just have a problem with the show, and not because the show is not badly written, not because it's badly acted. It's all great. It's all great around. I just can't. I've not been able to get over the CW aspect of the show about casting teenagers in order to fit that demographic to get to that emo kind of like characters. When I heard about the show, I really thought and I really, really wanted it to be 10-year-olds, 10-year-old sons,
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
because it's such a great way to introduce a new aspect of Superman, like Superman as a father teaching children who are just developing to become teenagers, and stuff, and learning how to use their powers. Although I really like the show, I do like it. It's just that's one thing though that I've always that I just felt like it was a missed opportunity. But it's a great show,
Yeah, it's like I said, so far it's exceeded my expectations for sure. And I was going to watch it because it's Superman. So you give me something Superman, I'm there. Like Warner Brothers knows either give me a Batman project or a Superman project, and you have my money. And then if it's good or not, then I'll complain or enjoy it. But you have my money initially, and so. But this has particularly exceeded my expectations. So. I think the shorter episode count will help it, and it does seem to, yes, they have the teenage aspect, like you were saying, Dave, but it does seem to be sort of avoiding every other CW trope so far.
Yeah.
Which is enjoyable. I just hope they don't mention anything about Supergirl at all on this show. I keep her and all those extended cast members away from the show, and I'll be happy.
I guess you don't like Supergirl. I actually do enjoy Supergirl. Actually,
I liked it for 3 seasons, and the last 2 have just been.
They've been a little stale, I'll admit. But John Cryer's Lex Luthor, I think.
Yeah, he's the best part. He's carrying whatever interest I have left in it is him. Basically.
Yeah, he's been the best representation of Lex Luthor, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Smallville was very good. Michael Rosenbaum was very good. But I think he's finally doing the Lex Luthor we've always wanted, which is not someone obsessed with real estate. Yeah,
well, that's always good.
Yeah. That got old very fast. Especially,
I don't need to see Lex talk about land ever again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, I think after Superman Returns and the missed opportunity with Kevin Spacey, it was like, what the hell? Really, you're just doing Gene Hackman again?
Yeah.
It was 1/4 Michael Rosenbaum with 3/4 Gene Hackman. That's what basically it was.
Well, you know what? Up until that point, being a Superboy fan since I was 6 years old, Sherman Howard is, for me, one of the best Lex Luthors, one of the most underrated Lex Luthors, because at a flip of a coin, he could be joking around, and then he could just be downright, I'm going to kill you. It was just, he was just so good, and he was laughing the entire. He played a little bit like Jack Nicholson's Joker when it came to Lex, but he was the mad scientist. We never really got that before, other than in the 50s. So it was
straight
cool.
out of the comic books.
Yeah,
straight out.
That's a great point. It's different than the Lex that we know now, but back then that was Lex Luthor, and so he was playing it true to form. So
right. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, David. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say that I think when I did the episode of Superboy, I specifically made a point about talking about Sherman's performance, because I always loved his performance because it was so Silver Age Lex Luthor and stuff like that. I know people compared him a lot to Joker and the 1989 Jack Nicholson, but I always felt that was not where he was that's not where the inspiration comes from. The inspiration was coming from those Silver Age 1950s to 60s Lex Luthor ones, where he's wearing the purple and green suit and just laughing maniacally. And I think Sherman did an amazing job because, like Sam said, he would go from being a very menacing to completely insane at a snap of a finger. Yeah. And all the episodes with Lex I loved. I think they're the best ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He just knocked it out of the park. And for our watchers and listeners to the live stream, if you haven't gone and listened to Joe Stuber's Comic Book Central, he just did an interview with Sherman Howard, and Sherman talks about one scene in particular from the Roads Not Taken episodes and how he got the crowd really into his speech. So go listen to Joe Stuber's Comic Book Central interview with Sherman Howard. It's amazing. It was a really good interview. It's at comicbookcentral.net. And then it's also available on Apple iTunes, so you could go and listen to it. Talking of legacy casting, let's get into our first topic. So legacy casting for Superman and Lois. If you had to choose which cast member from Superboy, who would you like to see show up on the new series? What characters would you like to see them play? Adam, we'll start with you.
I'm gonna say, because I know one of us is gonna say it, so I'll just say it. It's got to be Stacy. I mean, Stacy's gonna be there,
right? Yeah.
To me, looking at the roles that are potentially left, I'd like to see. We've got a Jor-El, so I'd cast her as Laura, personally. I mean, why not? And if that fails, get her as because Lana had an Aunt Nell in Smallville, so why can't she have an Aunt Nell now? Cast her as an Aunt Nell. Is it one of those two would be my choice.
Yeah.
And then you gotta get one, if not both of the two Superboys in. I don't know where you put them because again, Jor-El is gone. So my obvious answer is my before Jor-El was cast, I was like, all right, one of those two guys is gonna be Jor-El. That's off the table. So where you go now? Neither of them look like a Perry White, so that's off of the. And Clark is neither of them work at the Daily Planet anymore, so that's off the table. So, but you've got to get them in there. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think somebody like Gerard could play a Hank Henshaw. I mean, and again, I know people are going to scream and say, "Well, but Supergirl's kind of but." Thank God there's the what's it called, the crisis, the multiverse. You can do whatever you want now because that has been rewritten. So if they want to recast Hank Henshaw or in this or whatever Earth Superman and Lois are on, you can make him Hank Henshaw. That's my just off the top of my head couple of listings.
Dave, how about you?
I was thinking about this throughout the whole day. It was definitely something in my mind. By the way, I'm a little disappointed that in Superman and Lois they recast Morgan Edge. Because I really liked him or Prophet, another TV show that I loved, as him as Morgan Edge. I thought he had a lot of potential, and sadly, it wasn't really realized.
Oh, you mean what's his name, Adrian Pastar?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But who knows what the future holds. But as for casting, I thought about the Trinity there, Lex, Clark, and Lana there. And at first I thought, Stacy would be a great great Lara. But I was thinking about it and I was going it's such a kind of like a minuscule part, even though in the mythology, it's she's a very important part of mythology, but it's not like she's going to be featured on the show a lot. I mean, it's more like a cameo, and I really would like to see her on the show as like a guest star, even maybe a recurring character if possible. And I was thinking at first, I thought maybe like Lori Lamaris.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, but then I was like, she might be a little too old for Lori. And then I thought, what about Thorne, which is a character from Superman who's like a split personality, and she would be perfect in that. But at the end of the day, I thought of her and Sherman together, and I was thinking Ursa and Zod. Like Sherman as Zod and Ursa as Stacy as Ursa. And as for Gerard, I was thinking of him as Professor Hamilton. I thought he'd be great.
Dave, you stole my thunder. That's where I was gonna go with that.
Give him a beard, give him a beard and stuff, and it'd be like awesome, So
I would love. He was so good on Superboy in The Road's Not Taken as the Sovereign, and I love when he cut loose and got to be the bad guy for a change. And got to sink his teeth into being Lex in Body Swap, because he just had so much fun. And these actors, like, look at Tom Welling on Smallville when he did the first Red Kryptonite episode, which was amazing. That was a Jeb Loeb script that was just so good. So I would love to see Gerard in some capacity play a bad guy on Superman and Lois in the second season. It's not going to happen this first season. I think they're finished with season 1, but I would love to see him come back in that capacity.
They're actually not finished then.
Oh, they're not finished?
No, because of the restrictions. Then they had to have a pause. So because there's a limit to how many shows can film at the same time, in close proximity. Because a predominant number of the Arrowverse shows use the same sound stages and stuff. So they had to take a mandatory pause, and that's why they're going on a 7-week hiatus after episode 5. So there's still a chance for something. It's unlikely, but there's still a chance. Just to piggyback on what I think it was Dave was saying. You mentioned Zod and Ursa. Well, what if you get the trifecta and had John Gerard as Zod, Sherman as Non, but not a mute,
like in Supergirl,
really stupid one. And then a thing is Ursa, Stacy as Ursa. I think you could use the 3 of them.
Yeah, but I think that Jared as Professor Hamilton would be a great role, just because it's a recurring role.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's a recurring role. Plus, also, it's kind of like ironic that he's playing that same, the prototype. Because Superboy had a professor. Wasn't named Professor Hamilton, but it was
Professor Peterson.
Hamilton. Yeah, Professor Peterson. So it'd be nice to see him in that kind of role and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And the wonderful George Chakiris from West Side Story was Professor Peterson season 1 and season 2. Why they didn't bring him back for seasons 3 and 4, I have no idea. Maybe through this live stream we could get George Chakiris on and ask him directly why he wasn't brought back. But you know what? The other role that I could think of for Stacy, it would be nice to see, because we saw in this past episode Lana Lang Cushing having issues with her daughter and connecting with her daughter. And she was having the same problems, and they're kind of playing this off of Smallville, like her identity. So she, as an adult, she's still struggling with her identity. So wouldn't it be nice to have Stacy Haiduk's Lana Lang play Lana's mother on
I thought about that
Lois?
too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Just for her to come in and say, hey, you know what? I was going through the same things that you were going through and trying to find my place in the world. And it would just be such a nice deep cut for the fans. And it would lend itself as a recurring role. But it would just be cool just to see Stacy get to, come onto the series in some capacity.
Even if it couldn't be a recurring, but if it had to be a cameo.
Right.
Even if it was like, let's say, how Lana's daughter, they said she went to have a session with the psychiatrist. Yeah. Why can't she be a psychiatrist?
Yeah. The casting is endless, but it would just be nice to see Superboy get its due. And like Smallville, we didn't see anybody from Superboy. Lois and Clark, we didn't. Gerard came close to being Superman on the series. It's been documented to death in podcasts and interviews and in writing. I think it's time that Superboy gets its due in some way with this new series. And that first episode, you can be a George Reeves fan, you could be a Lois and Clark fan, hell, you could be a Smallville fan and come to this thing, and it just embraces all 80 plus years of Superman. So far with these 3 episodes. It's just been absolutely amazing. So let's, you guys, you want to move on to the next topic?
I will say one last thing though.
One last thing.
I forgot to mention this. Maybe Stacy as Yellow Perry.
Ooh. That'd be great. That'd be great. Like I said, to see to see these cast members come back and be vital in some form in Superman and Lois, just to get a nod for what they did in those 100 episodes of the series would be amazing for us Superboy fans, us diehard Superboy fans. So we'll move on to topic number 2, and this is really interesting because we have had multiple releases of Superman the movies score, Superman 2, Superman 3, Superman 4. Hell, even Supergirl, we've had 2 releases of one, like the bare bones score, and then a complete score from La La Records. We've even had Superman Returns score released twice over already. But yet we have not seen Kevin Kiner's original Superboy the TV series score. And yes, I know a ton of people are going to say, well, it's not going to be released because it's a cult TV show. And it has a cult following. It'll never be released. I beg to differ. It would just be really nice because it's the last piece of last piece of music from the Salkind era that has yet to see the light of day. So, how do you guys feel about Kevin Kiner's score? I mean, what were your favorite tracks from his score, like Bizarro's theme, Superboy's March? Any of the opening sequence title tracks? I mean, what got you pumped about the series when it came to the music with Kevin Kiner?
I think the best score he did was in Roads Not Taken. I think that was prime. That he really went all out on that one. Of course, the intros have always been good. And the really good thing about the intro is that even though it's his own thing, it does have that source of the classic Superman 1978 Christopher Reeve movie. You know, there's definitely an aspect of that. So it's very interesting because it must be incredibly hard to reference a show that you really should not be able to reference legally, but yet at the same time be sneaky about it and be able to put something that has a source code of it. So I always thought his music was excellent. But yeah, that's a tragedy about Superboy. You know, like it's gotten so shafted by, you know, not having reruns. You know, finally it was on DC Universe.
Right.
To my extent, I don't know if it's still on there. I don't think
it's gone. It's
Yeah,
gone.
sure. It'll probably make its way to HBO Max at some point.
Hopefully. You know, we just need to get we and listeners here need to get the word out that it is a show that really did happen. You know,
it just whenever I talk to somebody about the show that hasn't seen it, it just kept getting better from season 1 to season 2.
Oh, for sure.
And seasons 3 and 4 were the pre-X-Files, before the X-Files at the Bureau of Extra Normal Matters. I was just talking to Robert Levine, who played Mr. Jackson, and you know, we were talking about the show, and he's like, Sam, how old were you when you saw the show? I go, I was 6 years old. He goes, you were the right age for this show. And he just told me how much fun he had working on that series and how much of a Superman fan he is. He's 89 years old, and he was telling me to see the legacy of Superman just endure and be a part of it. He was telling me, Sam, I remember seeing Action Comics #1 as a little kid. So he's like, just to be a part of it, even though it's a small part with that he played.
You were that age,
right? And I said, hey, I wish you still had him. but he came across as, you know, very happy to have been part of the Superboy series in those 2 seasons, and he loved working on it, and he had so much fun. So I hope we can bring him on and talk to him about his experiences on the show, because he had nothing but good things to say last week about it. So, but Adam, how do you feel about the Superboy score?
I think it's a great score. I mean, I think you guys are right with the Roads Not Taken. You know, Dave especially is right with the Roads Not Taken aspect of it. But like you were saying, Bizarro's theme,
Yeah, there's a lot of little good themes over the course. I mean, there was the Dracula, the monster themes.
That one was good. Yeah.
The carnival music is my favorite from season 3. That episode Carnival, when Superboy's fighting that Reaper that's trying to take his soul. Like, that's such a great episode. And the music is very haunting in that episode.
But also the main theme, again, to creating a, for lack of a better word, Superman theme, because that's what you're doing. It's Superboy, but it's the same. Essentially, you have to create the Superman vibe, and again, put some subtle references to Superman the movie, the most iconic version of that theme, and doing so without copying or getting sued, because you don't want to have that happen. But still make it your own, and yet, like, that to me is just as recognizable as a Superman theme than any other Superman theme created. Like, and to be fair, every Superman theme that I've heard has been good. Like, I've liked them all. They've all had an essence of Superman to them. But they're like this one, the Superboy theme, along with Superman the movie, and even Lois and Clark, they're instantly like, as soon as you hear those three themes, you know what it is. Like, you've never seen, first of all, if you've never seen Superman the movie, I don't know what planet you're living on. So, second of all, I mean, really, even the people of the water on Mars has heard of that movie. And maybe a Martian Manhunter if he's out there. But so those three themes, as soon as you hear even a note of them, okay, that's Superman. I don't have to have seen anything, and I know what that is. So, and again, to be able to do that, and like David said, you have the source code of Superman the movie, but you've made it wholly your own at the same time. I think that's very impressive. And creating a new Superman theme, I think, is just as hard as creating a new adaptation of the character in live action and trying to distinguish yourself from everything else.
Yeah, and it's sad because this is the only thing that has been released of so far is the season 3, season 4 theme was released with this collection.
Wow.
This was released back in 2010, and this was to celebrate DC's 75th anniversary of music. And they only put, I think it was season 3, 3 and 4 opening title track, and they left all the special effects, the punching sounds, the flying sounds in the track. So it wasn't just, they even left the voiceover in there. So it was just 45 seconds of just, the season 3, season 4 theme. And that's all that has been officially released up until this point is on this album. I think it's available in vinyl. I was looking on Amazon today. It's available in vinyl. So, and you could download it digitally on Amazon as well as order the CD too.
If I'm encouraged that at the very least, Titans has brought him in to do an episode with Superboy in Titans, and he kind of did a nod to his own Superboy theme in there. So that encourages me that, first of all, I love the theme, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, Sam, but I knew it right away, and I texted you, I messaged you, and I said, Sam, I think the Superboy theme was in Titans.
I remember watching it last October when it premiered.
Said, what are you talking about? There's no way that's.
I'm watching it, and when he has Crypto in the courtyard, like in front of, and he's looking at the T-shirt on the vendor's rack, and they play those little bars of Kevin's music. Dun, dun, dun. I'm like, no way, no way. And then somebody released the season 2 score because it's not available commercially yet, but somebody released it on YouTube.
Somebody uploaded it to YouTube.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the score. It's the original. It's more than just a little,
Yeah.
couple bars here. It was the Superboy theme. It was right in there.
Yeah, because there's a part of it where he's helping. Dick Grayson is in kind of like I don't know what you call it, delusional state. He's in this kind of where him and Superboy are having a conversation, or I think it was the other way around. Dick was helping Superboy, and they're in what is made to look like a Smallville field, and he's encouraging Superboy to break free of whatever, and then that's when he takes off, and that's when it really kicks in. And as I was watching, I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like the theme. And then the first thing I thought of was, all right, I gotta text Sam, because Sam knows the story. I came into Superboy very sporadically because when it aired here, I'm in Canada, in case, Dave, in case you weren't aware, but when it aired here, it was so all over the place that from week to week, you didn't know when the hell it was on. So I caught, the odd episode here and there. And then when I met Sam was the one that reminded me of the series, and he brought it back, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember, vaguely I remember that thing. And then I went back and gave it a deep dive, and I realized how much I liked the episodes that I did see. And so, but through talking to Sam all these years, I recognize the theme, and I'm like, yeah, it's got to be that. What else?
Yeah, I didn't believe you, honestly. When I was watching it, I was like, okay, that sounds familiar. But being a Superboy fan, you're used to people going, yeah, that's nice. Here's a cookie. Like, you mean Lois and Clark? You mean Smallville? When I go to conventions here in Chicago when I was a kid, looking for the 8x10 Viacom press kit photos, people would go, here you go. I go, that's not Superboy. They're like, yes, it is. It's Lois and Clark. No, that's Lois and Clark. What the hell are you talking about? There was a 100-episode series that was on the Power Station on Channel 50 here in Chicago on Saturday and Sundays at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And then The Next Generation and Dracula the series. And it was Superboy. Superboy was like right there in that block with My Secret Identity. So, to see people just kind of go, yeah, no, I've never heard of it. What are you talking about? It was just kind of disheartening because that's my Superman growing up. So
my thing is, I grew up in Puerto Rico. So not only am I was very Americanized, obviously, if you know my voice. I was always a TV kid, I'd really go out, I didn't have a lot of friends in the neighborhood and stuff like that. So it was really, for me, it was very frustrating because I would, this is before I didn't have Access TV Guide. This isn't like before the internet where like you can like look up, this is going to be a rerun this Saturday and stuff like, this is going to be like on this time. Oh, this has been moved to a different time. I didn't have that, so I would be Saturday mornings. I would watch my TV block, cartoon, and then Superboy. And I gotta tell you, the most heartbreaking moment was those days where like I would wait for Superboy, and it would be preempted by a newscast, for the Gulf War, or a stupid sports game, and then, or worst of all, it was not even shown at all. It was like an Adam West 1960s Batman, and if I was lucky, maybe it might be a rerun, and they were completely out of order. I started with season 2, and then I suddenly jumped to season 4, season 3. I remember the last episode I ever saw was The Death of Superboy. That was the last episode I ever saw of Superboy. And I can't tell you how much of a shock it was when they started airing it again. It was season 1, and how frustrating that was for me, because I'm like going like, it's Superboy, and then like it's like season 1, and I'm like, what is
Who
this?
is this guy? Who is this guy?
And no offense to everybody there, but season 1 is, oh my god,
It's the best part.
It's, you know what? I agree with Stacy. It's the 1950s Superman show brought into the 80s, because it's a lot of gangsters, a lot of like Superboy discovering his powers. It was just
she's the best actress. She's the best performer there. And it's and again, John grew into the part. He got better each episode, but she was the standout. And I'm sorry, I said it on my own vidcast. You remember the episodes where we covered Superboy? Sam?
Yeah.
I don't even remember. What is it? Scott Wells. No offense. He probably was a good person. Whatever, all 9 yards. But he was the biggest insult to the profession of acting. And I'm not an actor, but I can imagine fellow actors watching that thinking, what is he doing?
Yes.
It's like,
yeah. That was a key part of my episode of Gun Run I've Forgotten, where I had to play it. I had to play that classic clip of like nobody treats Lex Luthor, nobody. And like even as a kid, I was going like, is this acting?
This is
like
bad.
What is this? Like
it's like he had the script in his pocket.
Yeah, like I was like, what is it? Did he like learn the lines like right before the camera like played or something like that? Like, because I was like going to myself, I'm in junior high. Like I've seen kids in a high school play, that have done better acting than this. I was like completely, and I know sadly he passed away. He had his issues and stuff like that. And I don't like bashing people. Let me do a little bit, but no.
Depends who it is, but just
like that first season. I'm sorry, but like I was telling Sam when I first started talking to Sam, when I heard they're gonna release Superboy on DVD with all these special features, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then like season 1, I was like, no, not season 1, because that is the worst impression you can give to someone who wants to watch the show. People can't get through season 1.
And I remember Sam telling me that when I got reintroduced, because the episodes I did see were only Gerard. I'll say that. Then when Sam was telling me, because I'm like, what's going on here, Sam? They're releasing this thing. It's not the guy that I barely remember, but it's somebody else. What's going on? And he explained the story, and he's like, okay, these are the episodes you have to watch. And he basically gave me 5 or 6. He says, these are the really good ones. Watch these, and you could. Mm-hmm. If you want to watch the rest, good luck. But if you don't, nobody will get angry at you. And I'm like, well, he's a big fan of the show. He's warning me. Mm-hmm. That doesn't bode well. But I got through it, and then when I got to season 2, I'm like, okay, this is more the show that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, season 2, like the inspiration behind season 2. I mean, you could see it clear as day. It's the Silver Age comics. Michael J. Pollard as Mixus Pitalik he looked like he stepped out of the pages of the comic. Ilya going back and doing something that I don't think any other TV show has done since is recast 2/3 of your cast. Like that's unheard of, like in today's television or even television then. But he made it work, He brought in Gerard Christopher. He brought in Alon Mitchell-Smith from Weird Science at the time to surround Stacy and to continue to make the show more quality. And it just seems like they hit the ground running with season 2. You could see the seeds in season 1 with the Alien Solution, Revenge of the Alien. Like those are the stories that they wanted to tell. And I think a big thing that Superboy did at the time was employ comic book writers on the series. You had Mike Carlin, you had Andy Helfer, you had Denny O'Neil. Jan
DeMatteis,
You mean these guys can actually transition and it'll turn out good? Who would have thought
It's shocking. It's so shocking. And they're right in house at DC.
Somebody at Warner Bros. was like, who knew these guys could write? I can just imagine. Who knew? This is like a big revelation to them. Like it's.
And Carrie Bates was your showrunner in that second season. Carrie Bates and Mark Jones, and they both wrote Superman comics from around that era.
And that tradition has now started to resurface because you see the best episodes of Smallville were written by either Jeff Loeb or Jeff Johns.
Yeah. Right.
And look at Titans when Jeff Johns is behind the pen, or Brian Edward Hill, who he's a screenwriter, but he has written comics as well. Those are the ones that turn out to be the best episodes. Is there a trend, a coincidence? I mean, you be the judge, but the proof is in the pudding. So I don't understand why not more often do they let these guys take a crack at the big screen material.
It's just so maddening because it's like, you hear all these stories about boneheaded executives and stuff like that. Like I remember going to a panel with James Zobar, creator of The Crow, and him saying he was in a meeting and some executive said, "We'll make it into a musical with Michael Jackson. It'll be great." And he said, I started laughing, and the guy said, "What? I don't understand why you're laughing." And it's like, you go, "What?" Like, it's, like, why? You're like, why is it so hard to accept that somebody who writes comic books can write a TV show when it's proven, like you said, it's proven over and over again that they can write these shows. They're writers. Just because they write comic books, it doesn't mean they're not writers.
It's maddening, and especially like, Superman has had that for 2 decades with John Peters saying, "Well, I don't want to see him in the suit, and I don't want to see him fly." And it's like, but hold on, it's wait for it. It's Superman. Like, hello. Flying is part of the deal. The suit is part of the deal. I mean, not in Smallville's case, but generally, the suit is part of the deal. And then you think, okay, we're now in the decade of the 2010s. You'd think this was back then, and the first thing you hear when they're actually trying something new, aside from Batman and Superman, and it was Green Lantern. Some of the conversation was, "Does he need the ring?"
You do know about the Jack Black, right? Jack Black story.
Are you kidding? When I heard that, I remember reading that, and I think, if they do this, any chance this franchise have, they killed it before they've even shot a frame of footage. No offense to Jack Black, funny guy. Yeah. I like some of his movies, but me and 3/4 of the known world, I would suspect, probably even Jack Black himself, doesn't want to see Jack Black as Green Lantern. So
yeah,
just maddening decision making sometimes.
Yeah, that would have definitely killed the Green Lantern franchise. Well, it's already dead. It's already dead.
Yeah. I think they would have killed comic book movies the second time. I mean, they did it with Batman and Robin, and they would have done it again. So,
well, thank God for Batman Begins. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Well, let me play something that I wanted to premiere tonight. I had a chance to do this a couple years ago. I had a friend of mine who is a editor and filmmaker. He has a great channel on YouTube. My buddy Oliver Harper across the pond has his YouTube channel, Oliver Harper's Retrospectives. He's covered Superboy. I helped him do some research. I contributed some behind the scenes photos to those retrospectives. So if you haven't seen those, go check out Oliver Harper's Retrospectives on YouTube.
It's a two-parter, right, sir?
It's a two-parter, yeah. Yeah. It was really well done. His taste of editing, his eye of editing on that thing is just absolutely amazing. But I wanted to share this trailer that I commissioned him to do for the 30th anniversary of Superboy. This was a few years ago that I was going to bring to a convention to host a panel, but I didn't have a chance to because my schedule just didn't sync up. So I'm going to play this for everybody. Let me see if I could pull it up real quick. And I hope you guys enjoy it. There you go.
Do you know where the rockets came from?
I do.
Then tell me.
It's not your time yet.
When will it be my time?
You'll know. And from that time on, you won't be called Superboy anymore.
I didn't ask to be like this. And I can't help everybody. Sure, I could fly up there in a few minutes and rescue them. While I'm doing that, there are some firefighters in the North Sea on an oil rig who are dying in a fire. Or a little girl's fallen down a well.
No one expects you to do it all.
Do you realize what it's like? So much going on around you all the time and not be able to stop it all? Who are you?
Do not be frightened, young one. I have been programmed by your ancestors to welcome you into the next cycle of your development.
My ancestors? You mean my parents? Who are you?
My son, you do not remember me. I am Jor-El. I'm your father.
You see, your Uncle X just put the finishing touches on a nationwide network of nuclear devices, as they say in the bomb biz. So big, so powerful, makes a Pentagon warhead like a cherry bomb.
Lex, you forgot to tell them what you want.
What?
Your demands.
Demand?
What they have to do so you won't set off the bomb.
Don't have any demands. Just gonna do it.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No. Yeah, kind of. There's a part of me that she really likes, maybe even loves. There's another part of me that she just likes as a friend.
Clark?
I have to.
I wouldn't dream of stopping you.
Remember, things are never as bad as they seem.
Rocketed from a distant planet to a bold new destiny on Earth. Found by a Kansas family and raised as Clark Kent, he learned he possessed the strength of steel, the speed of light, and the desire to help all mankind. He is Superboy.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good stuff.
So yeah, that was something we did that I was gonna take with me to the Palm Springs Comic-Con, but it just didn't work out. It was, I think, Stacy Gerard, Michael Carlin, and Elias Salkind were gonna be there. I don't know. Yeah, it just didn't work out. so we just did that trailer, and it was just absolutely amazing. And I saved it till the right time. So this is the perfect time as any to release that. So I hope you guys like it.
Yeah, it was very well done.
That was very cool.
And we had a little bit of liberties with the Superman canon. It was Oliver's idea to throw Marlon Brando into that because it's the connection between Superboy and Superman the movie. I mean, it's the Jeff East. This is the Jeff East story, like just with the suit. So
you could essentially in your head canon kind of, you know, once he's in the fortress and that 12 years of just him, instead of him sitting there and listening to Jor-El talk, which is what we assumed he did, he went off and did the Superboy show. Like the Superboy show took place,
right?
And then boom, you know, from after that, he did the rest of the Superman movies take place. You could kind of finagle that in your head canon if you wanted to. So I think it works.
Well, let's take a few comments from the fans. Let's see what we have in comment wise. This is pretty funny. Paul Anthony, did you guys catch Kiner's Superboy theme? Yes, we did. Adam, thanks to you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's another comment. Superboy was a great series on TV in the late 80s and early 90s. They actually used a few things from the series on Smallville, such as when Clark saved Lana at the windmill. They took a lot. Lois and Clark, too, took a lot from Superboy. Even the 50s Superman series to a certain extent. But Superboy has been pilfered a lot over the last few incarnations. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to borrow the good stuff, I would say.
Right. Especially that nobody's seen. So, you know, because it wasn't in syndication. I think if the show, Dave, you alluded to it, if the show is in syndication today, it was on DC Universe, and I know for a fact a lot of people just never saw it. And when it was on DC Universe, it had a second life because I was getting comments from people all the time going, "Oh my God, the show's really, really good," and it just kept getting better and better with each season. I remember going to the Superman celebration with Tracy Roberts, who plays Darla, and her being so nervous to go to the Superman celebration because she felt that nobody was going to remember her. And I was like, it's the Superman celebration. Just wait. I did a couple photos for her table. She gets down there, her and her husband, and from the minute she sat down to the minute they closed the doors, the line wrapped around the building, and she just had a giant smile on her face. And I will never forget her coming up to me and going, "Sam, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was amazing." On top of having a screening of the Road to Hell episodes in Artist Alley, the applause and the place was packed to the gills, and people just going, "Oh my God, this is fantastic. This feels like the Superman films. How come I've never seen this?" You had Ron Ely, Tarzan, as Superman, and it was really gratifying to see the number of Superman fans that just never saw it. And people come up to you and go, "Sam, this was really, really good. Can I see more?" I go, "Yeah, there's another 4 seasons worth." So let's see the more comments. I think that's it for right now. But we did have topic 3 tonight that we were going to talk about, but our guest, Aaron Price from Aaron Price Productions, is not here tonight. Filmmaker, actor, editor. Aaron's amazing. He's been working on a Superman 4 subway sequence where he's rotoscoping and he's Chris Reeve and doing like a whole thing, and it just looks amazing. If you go on Aaron Price Productions on his YouTube channel, you could check out what he's been doing. It's just absolutely amazing. But we were going to talk about tonight a little bit. There has been this idea of possibly restoring the Superboy series with this new AI technology called Topaz Video Enhancement AI. Me and Aaron messed around with it, and he did a really cool restoration in about 15 minutes of the opening sequence of season 2. He color corrected. I mean, the DVDs are what they are from WB Archives. They put no restoration work into those things. It was basically, they had several copies of one episode and they picked the best looking one and threw it on there. There was no color correction. There was no remastering of any sort. But Aaron did this in 15 minutes. I showed Mike Carlin. I showed a couple people at WB Archives, and they're like, "Sam, it's amazing, but you know what? Just be happy with the DVDs." But I just think like you see other fans of other franchises like Star Trek. Paramount has come out and said, "We're not releasing Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Deep Space Nine in Blu-ray. We're not doing any restoration work with those series." So it's kind of a kick in the stomach to those fans that grew up with those series, kind of like us with Superboy. Well, me, Dave, you, Adam, you know, like we grew up. Well, me and you, Dave, grew up with it. Adam, you were late to the party.
I came late, but hey, I still like it. So
right. But I mean, to see the show given a nice HD restoration, the 35 millimeter do exist at Warner Brothers in the vault there, but they're not going to spend the money to go back and do a nice restoration on this series. The money is just not there, and I don't think the money is there to be made from doing a restoration. But I think with this Topaz video enhancement upscaling technology, this will give fans the chance, if Warner Brothers wants to do this, I think it's very cost efficient in a way to do nice upscaling, close close to HD transfers of the Superboy series. The great thing about this technology is it fills in the gaps of the pixelations and really brings out the detail that's there in the information on the screen. So like I said, me and Aaron were just messing around with it, and he got it to make really, it looked amazing. It looked so good that even some of the people on the cast were like, wow, that's amazing. And the detail was really, really cool. And I think that's the closest we will get to a proper restoration of the show. But you know, it's yet to be seen. I think this technology lends a lot to like TV shows that you won't see a restoration for. So maybe this is our way of doing it.
Actually, I was actually thinking about this today, right? And it's a good thing you bring up with the whole money aspect about how they don't feel it's worth the money. Why not just let us start a Kickstarter? Like the fans start a Kickstarter.
Right.
When it worked for Veronica Mars, why not just do that? Let's just make a Kickstarter, and if hit them with always follow the money. So if we do a Kickstarter and it gets some traction, this would be perfect proof to Warner Brothers to maybe it be more in their benefit to actually do this.
Well, I think you look at the Superboy series as one of many TV shows in their archives there at WB that is ripe for a restoration. The 1950s George Reeves series, the Kirk Allen serials. Hell, I think they just did a remaster of the Fletcher cartoons, but even if they haven't done that, this lends itself for that. I just think like you can go back and mine the archive of Superman on film on television and just put out, like, you don't even have to put out physical DVDs or Blu-rays. Like, look at what DC Universe did with the 1970s Shazam. They went back and did a full restoration, but we're not even asking for a full restoration. Just do a color correction or do a little bit of upscaling. So Adam, how do you feel about this?
First of all, I think I'd welcome them to do it. Dave is kind of right that they kind of got to see the money first, like to see would there be, if we did this, would we get a return of some kind? And the Kickstarter, the campaign is certainly an idea, but I think given the way everything is leaning towards streaming and HBO Max, the key would be the first step. I think is getting them to put it on there, because then if you put it on there and they see viewing numbers, and I think the series would work well for not only fans like us that are nostalgic and remember the series from our childhood, but I think you could gain traction with a new crop of kids showing them that. And my kind of basis for saying something like that, there are certain properties that doesn't matter how long time has gone by, if it's engaging to, like, if it's good enough, it'll engage kids. Proof is in the pudding. Look at something like Power Rangers. That thing is going, what are we at, 20 some odd years?
Yeah.
And I can, like, my niece is currently in love with it right now. Side note, her favorite is Ninja Steel, but I digress. But I showed her my Power Rangers, which was the original, and she's watching it and she's hooked as anything. Like, she doesn't care that it's from 1993. She just sees what she sees. She's engrossed by it. And I think with Superman and Lois sort of doing the numbers that it's doing and being a success and getting good critical acclaim right now, I think that is showing a renewed interest in the character. And I think to now take that interest, put something like Superboy on HBO Max and engage a younger crowd, that's also a good thing. Again, that would only help the interest. I think you need something like that to kind of, no pun intended, kickstart Warner Brothers, wheels, thinking, wait a minute. I don't know if we'll ever get it on a hard copy like DVD or Blu-ray, but if they see the interest, if they see the viewership, the inclination would be there to say, okay, well, a little bit of color correction could help going a long way. So again, it's all about them seeing the money, And I think a popular Superman product being on the screen right now is only going to help invigorate that interest. So hopefully that continues. And again, Superboy, the character, not necessarily this version, but the character showing up in other media as well, I think will help matters also. Like imagine, because he was pretty well liked in in Titans season 2, the character of Superboy. If they can continue to grow that character in season 3, but like HBO Max is all about new content, gaining subscribers. So if Titans continues to do well, and they could parlay, let's say, a Superboy series out of that, a spinoff, then they're going to want to generate even more interest for this Superboy series. Let's see what we have in our archives that could drive them further to explore things. So again, it's all about content. So I think what they need to see is interest first and foremost in the series. Let's bang the drum for them first to put it on HBO Max, and then gain interest in the color correction thing. Like it's got to be a gradual process.
Right. Right. Well, before we wrap up, I want to tease next Wednesday night's live stream. We're going to have a very special guest on, and we're going to do a really cool interview. So let me pull this up real quick, and we're going to tease next week's guest.
He hasn't told me anything, so this is the first for me.
I don't understand what went wrong here.
It was your first attempt, Professor. You'll work the bugs out.
I thought I had it all figured out. I have no idea what went wrong. You all right, Superboy?
I'm fine.
So my guess is we're either getting the flower on, the professor.
No, it's not the flower.
It's the laser. I knew
it's the laser.
We're getting the laser on, the super laser. All right, here we go.
We're going to be interviewing Bizarro himself, Douglas B. Myers, next week. So he's going to be on. He's very excited. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. I interviewed him a number of years ago. I think I was the first interview he did since the show ended. And we talked for about almost 2 hours. He's so much fun. He's going to be a blast to talk to. He is so excited. He wants to get back into the mask and the suit. But yeah, it'll be fun.
You mean on the show or in an actual show?
Well, in an actual show or a convention, whatever. Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
right.
yeah.
Well, hey, Superman and Lois doesn't have a Bizarro yet, and
but yeah, he talked about how much fun he had working on that series. So I can't wait for him to come on and talk to us about his experiences working on Superboy with Rob Berman, who did the makeup, being in that mask and bringing the character to life. I don't think there's been a Bizarro like his since.
No. There's never been Bizarro, period.
Right.
You guys can argue with me about Bizarro being on Smallville or Bizarro being on Supergirl.
That was Tom Welling's face digitized.
There's never been a Bizarro.
No.
He's the only Bizarro that's ever been. I mean, he's the only Bizarro that's actually been faithful to the character. I mean, so
that is one of the most, I think, straight up page to screen adaptations that I've ever seen.
Yeah, he is pitch perfect. His voice, they did a little bit of modulation in post, but his mannerisms, the way he's got some really great stories about how he got cast. So I can't wait for him to come on next week and
be
share
a fun
these stories. So it's going to be really, really cool to talk to Douglas. He's a lot of fun, and he is the only true Bizarro we've had on film up until this point in Superman Legacy on film. So, but I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. Adam, thank you as always.
Always
Dave,
a pleasure.
Dave, welcome to the
this is awesome.
Superboy the Legacy family.
We have more conversations. It's good.
Yeah, thank God, man. I love finally talking about the show.
Now I got to steal you on one of my shows too.
Oh, definitely.
So cross-pollination. You think Nick Fury is not the only one that can do this kind of thing? We can do it too. How about that?
So thank you to everybody that sent us questions or comments tonight. I didn't get to all of them, but thank you. We'll get to them on the next show. So don't forget that the live stream is every Wednesday night at 8/7 here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Periscope. And also don't forget to like and subscribe on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, at Superboy Legacy. This live stream will be available in podcast form tomorrow on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Overcast, and Buzzsprout. And don't miss, if you don't want to miss anything, go to Superboy the Legacy website, the main website at superboylegacy.com. So thank you, Adam. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Adam, what's our catchphrase? Up, up, and away? Up,
and away. Stay
is that
super.
What we're going to stay super?
Well, listen, since we're doing this every week at this time, can we say see you next week, same super time, same super channel? Can I steal the Batman thing?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Is that fine? Dave, what do you think? Same super time, same super channel?
I used to say, let the fans decide of the show.
You guys,
you know what?
That's your contest. That's your contest.
Okay, we're gonna do a Twitter poll.
Twitter poll,
on what our catchphrase at the end of the show
one of the
should
three,
be.
up and away, stay super, or same super time, same super channel. Is that the three options?
That's the three. We'll go with those three options.
Okay. So
you guys vote, and we'll come back next week, and that'll be our
and if you
phrase
vote
to sign on.
for mine, you get a prize. Not really. I'm just trying to bribe people. I don't know. Sam's the prize master. He'll decide.
Or we could also say, a la Superman 2, throw that S,
Yeah, I mean, the son of finesse, why not make use of it?
Yeah, that's not a power. That's not.
That's a whole show in itself.
Yes.
Yes, that's a whole nother podcast and live stream. So
just to maybe promote some folks also.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube channel called Mr. Sunday Movies. They actually just did a retrospective on all the Richard Donner, all the Superman 1, 2, 3, and the Donner cut on their Caravan of Garbage series. So definitely check it out. Great stuff.
Adam, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
I kind of did it at the beginning, but
you did, but do it again. Just do it again.
The Multiverse Musings Podcast Network. I've got a whole host of podcasts there, and the YouTube channel Multiverse Musings, the vidcast. Go there. We've got a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm.
You want Superman and Lois reviews? We just got a brand spanking new one up there. We've got the announcement of the new Superman movie. We talked about that for one piece of news. We managed to make an hour and a half show out of it. So I mean, there's discussion, and again, it seems like Superman is back in sort of Warner Brothers kind of consciousness again, because we've got Superman and Lois. Whether you like it or not, don't like it, we got the Snyder cut coming. We got the new Superman movie coming. We've got a whole host of things. So I think let's keep the interest going, and maybe more goodies, Superboy goodies will come from that. So there it is.
And if you guys are interested in my show, Gone But Not Forgotten, you can go to Joe Blow YouTube channel, and there's actually a playlist of all our episodes.
Perfect,
guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next Wednesday night.